Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Ayesha Gulalai Wazir, and I am ex-parliamentarian, member of Parliament of Pakistan from 2013 till May 2018. And I am pursuing my PhD doctorate in comparative religion. Recently, in 2018, I formed my own political party by the name of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Gulalai, which happens to be the first ever mainstream political party in Pakistan formed by a woman and mainly run by women. Since the age of 7, I had the passion for activism for human rights, for women's rights, talking about child labor, about equality, freedom, and the areas I come from are known as the birthplace of the Taliban in the world. I come from the tribal belt, from the tribal areas along the Pak-Afghan border. These areas are ultra-conservative, where women and girls are not even allowed to get education, go to school, get themselves treated by male doctors, let alone playing sports or going or joining politics or opting for some decision-making role in the society. But the whole credit, I think, goes to my father, who has always been a free thinker and a revolutionary man. He faced a lot of resistance, opposition in the local area, in those tribal, ultra-conservative areas, where they think that the woman and girl, they have to be married off to some other house. That's why you do not need to invest your energy in girls and women. This is the concept over there. But my father, he always draws his lessons from Mother Nature. He always says that why should I discriminate between my daughters and sons when a bird does not discriminate when it feeds its male child and its female child. I would go to the local tribal elders' assemblies called local jirgas, tribal jirgas, to the madrasas, to colleges, to schools, and talk about the basic issues of the areas, including freedom of expression, about the basic issues like equal human rights for everyone, including the women and girls, talking about child labor, environmental pollution, growing population, and these are the issues that we are facing. And I think that it's basically, first of all, the awareness that needs to be created. Later on, the action happens. At the age of 9, I happened to be the youngest newscaster and current affair show host, political show host in Pakistan. And at the age of 16, I became the chairperson of the Tribal Union of Journalists in those areas for the tribal belt along the Pak-Afghan border. And my sole purpose was to encourage more and more girls and women to step forward, to talk about their area's problems, about their own problems, be active in journalism, and use it as an instrument to bring about a better change for their areas. At the age of 9, I met Benazir Bhutto. I know if you are aware of Benazir Bhutto, she was the first ever female prime minister of the Muslim world. I met her at the age of 9, and she called me her daughter. And When she went into exile and she came back, I had joined her party, and when I met her during a meeting, she had tears in her eyes. Because the areas I come from, she always believed in women empowerment. And she was basically an epitome of women empowerment who believed in balance of power between men and women, and who had to face a lot of resistance and opposition at the patriarchal mindset in politics in Pakistan. But she braved that patriarchal mindset, and she proved that women can lead their countries, women can run foreign affairs, women can run defense affairs of their countries, and she was the one who empowered women in true means in Pakistan. But unfortunately, after her demise, I did not see that dedication, that commitment to the masses in her party. So I left her party. And after a brief time period, I joined another party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. In 2013, I got elected as the youngest parliamentarian and as the first ever female from South Waziristan, from the tribal belt, to the national parliament of Pakistan. And while in the parliament, I saw that women in Pakistan were underrepresented because women constitute 53% of Pakistan's population. But they are underrepresented in the legislatures, from the top to the grassroots. And those women who were in the parliament, they did not have power. In August 2017, last year, I did a press conference to speak up about sexual harassment that I had to experience in my own party by the leader of that party. And by doing this, by doing this courageous step, I was actually trying to perform my constitutional duty towards the millions of women in Pakistan, towards the 53% women population in Pakistan, and also in the region. I wanted to redefine honor as in our areas, or maybe in the world, honor is to stay silent. But I think honor is to speak up about any kind of harassment, about your right to education, about your inheritance rights, about your freedom, about your right to health care. This is what I wanted to redefine. Although I had to face a lot of backlash. So if in the US, a lot of women have to face backlash, so it was Pakistan, a very conservative area. But the people of Pakistan appreciated me, they encouraged me, and they supported my cause. And basically, as a parliamentarian, I performed my duty to give awareness to the women. I believe that in politics, in Pakistani politics, or in the regional politics in South Asia, we can see many men with Taliban mentality, with terrorist mentality, with extremist mentality. And the politicians basically are role models for their areas, for their masses. So now I think, as the name suggests, unfinished. So the agenda of empowerment, the agenda of human rights, to do away with child labor, to do away with nuclearization, arms race, discrimination, patriarchal mindset, I think these all things are unfinished. And as far as women empowerment is concerned, in Pakistan, there are many customs which are un-Islamic, unethical, and we also need to do away with those cultures, with those customs. So the agenda is unfinished, I think, around the globe, and I salute to all those people who actually, despite resistance, they have stood up their ground for their principles and to show the path to others. And it's just the beginning, I guess. And it's not about individuals. I think the role the UN has played on the issues of Kashmir and on the issue of Rohingya genocide, that's a very courageous stand the UN has taken despite opposition from these countries. So courage needs to be, we need to have courage, whether on individual level or whether on organizational level or whether on global level. Pakistan and India also need to have courage to enter some agreement, mutual agreement for denuclearization and to end the arms race in their countries, for prosperity, for peace, for the welfare of their respective masses. But if the arms race goes on between the two countries, between the two South Asian countries, it's going to damage the whole SAARC organization and the whole region. Because we have over 1 billion of population below poverty line, as per the UN. And that population lives, 83% of that population lives in Africa and in South Asia. My political party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Gulalai, it stands for an egalitarian society, for a pluralist society, where all humans, irrespective of being a man, a woman, a child, a trans community, a transgender, a religious minority, they all have equal rights, equal respect, equal dignity, equal freedom. And my political party happens to be the first ever political party which gave election tickets to the trans community for the first time in the history of Pakistan. Because I want every community, every segment of the society to have its due representation in the electoral process, be it women, be it trans community, be it disabled persons or religious minorities. And that's what I'm striving for. We need to change mindset. We need to have a continuous work and struggle to bring about that awareness among our people. Because if we bring about that awareness among our women, among our communities who are underrepresented, who are discriminated against, for instance, religious minorities as well, who do not have freedom in most of the countries. In the West, they do have, but in most of our countries, the religious minorities, there is a lot of discrimination and persecution, I must say. So first is to give awareness, and afterwards, when they get awareness and they reach decision-making positions, they have that courage, then they would be able to change their situation in their communities. So I would welcome any of your questions if you want to have.
I just want to address an issue that we Romanians are facing, the problem of people leaving the country massively. So, and I think Pakistan has the same problem. What do you see in the future in this regard? What can we do? The people that remains here, what can we do to keep the people here? Thank you.
I didn't get your point, like the people who are living in Romania?
Yeah, they're living, they're going
Migrants?
to live in another countries.
Uh-huh.
So we have like 6 million already. Not officially. Officially, there are like 3 million, but it seems there are many more. And we really have an issue about that.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for your question. Well, a lot of Pakistanis, a lot of migrants are living in your countries in Europe. And I'm thankful to the European countries that they are welcoming many war-affected, war-stricken people to their countries, welcoming them. So that removes the notion, first of all, let me say that removes the notion that the West is against the Muslims or the West is against the Eastern people. So I think it has played its very important role in bridging the gap, to diminish this notion, and the phenomenon of clash of civilizations. We always talk about this phenomenon. So we are really thankful to the Western people, to your country, for hosting our people in their difficult and tough times. At the same time, I think that we need to empower, we need to uplift our country to that position where, first of all, we can have our own people in our countries. They do not need to migrate to other countries, and they can have their own jobs there. They can have their own places in their countries, because it's because the people are coming out because of unemployment from our countries. Most of the people, they come here without visas, and they get drowned in sea or what. So there are a lot of issues which cause deaths. But at the same time, my message to the people here is that, and I want to bring them back to my country, because we want to uplift our country to that extent that provides them so much jobs. At the same time, my message to the people here is that respect the law here, respect the citizens here, be thankful to them. And our Muslims in other countries must be thankful to the Western people. Talking against them will not help us, because it's always our political leaders who teach them to be ungrateful. You take them loans from them, and then when you have a failure in your policies, then you divert their attentions towards the West. So it's a very easy tactic. So our politicians actually teach them to be ungrateful, but I think the religion does not teach you to be ungrateful. So we are thankful to the Western people, and I think that our government needs to have some mechanism about to have some guideline for them to respect the country where they live, and to be constructive and to be peaceful over there.
First of all, thank you very much. You've said that your father was one of the people that initially empowered you very much. And I am very sure that this whole process has been difficult and that you have encountered obstacles. And I would like to know, what made you not say that, oh, maybe another woman will do this, or maybe another woman will pass through these obstacles, maybe I don't need to do it? What was the key factor that pushed you through all this, the values, the core values, or the people that also helped you?
Yeah, thank you for this important question. Yes, I had to face a very abusive backlash in Pakistan. So I then realized that if a woman of my stature, if she is sitting on as high position as myself, because a parliamentarian is the most, it's the most powerful position in our country. So if she can face such a backlash for speaking up, because I was speaking up to just perform my duty, to give awareness to the women, 53% women in Pakistan, to give them the courage not to stay silent and to redefine honor. But I had to face a lot of, Facebook, social media, abusive language on social media against me and my family and my sister. And even the mainstream media actually played a very negative role. They actually would call panelists to talk against me, that why she dared to speak up, and to send out a message that if someone, because it's a patriarchal mindset and the males are everywhere, And I think the bravery of a man is not to oppress women, it is to empower women. So, but unfortunately, that attitude was not demonstrated by our males, and they did not understand my idea and my position of doing this, because I thought that what many NGOs could not do for so many years, the courage I gave after one press conference to the women. And many women came out in educational institutions, in workplaces. They are facing this kind of harassment, which holds them back from playing their positive, constructive role in their societies. And that's why our countries, this is the reason for our country's downfall, that the more than 50% population does not play its role. And such kinds of things hold them back, and their families do not permit them to go outside. So it was very important, and they could not understand what I was doing, and they were against me. They were paid social media campaigns. And in fact, I was locked up in a room because there was security. I was locked up in a room with my family for 2 months. And on social media, they would incite, they were paid social media campaigns that would incite people to throw acid on me or to kill me, because I was the first drop, and I just showed the path to the women of courage. So that was my crime. But I stood my ground, and fortunately, that was actually the real change. And now many women, they are coming forward, and this kind of negative attitudes cannot, some people will not tolerate this kind of attitude. The women are now, they are telling everyone.
So thank you for your presence here. You are quite an inspiration for all of us.
Thank you.
2 questions I have for you. You say about giving courage to women, but in fact it's an act of faith, and I do think that sometimes fear kicks in. What do you do when fear kicks in? That's the first question. And if you have a particular advice to give for women activists around the world, what would that be? Thank you.
Thank you. Basically, I am a person with a mission since the age of 7. So in those areas, ultra-conservative areas, no one could think about going to the tribal, local tribal jirgas and to madrasas and talking, a girl talking in such places. So it's actually a kind of jihad for me. It's kind of a jihad for me because it's for the rights of others. And my father always told me to fight for the rights of others. And I think if in the world there are more women leaders, the world would be a better place to live. It would be more peaceful. It would be more tranquil. For instance, if there was a woman in the place of Donald Trump or Kim Jong-un, so I think there would be more peaceful world. So women, so my message to the women activists is that they are doing a great job, and they are facing a lot of resistance, and we salute you, and we are with you, and stay brave, and stay courageous, and stick to your mission.
Can I ask you the question in reverse? Your father, who stood by and who encouraged, and often I hear, my father is the one, meaning the dismantlement of patriarchy in some way starts with the man and the father, who has to then face all the other men who tell him, you're not a real man, and what kind of a man are you that you are encouraging your daughters to do this or not to be a child bride or to stay in school and all of that. I wonder what has happened to him, and to what extent does he become an inspiration for other men? Not just that you become an inspiration for other women.
You're absolutely right. Such men, as I said, that a brave man is he who empowers women, who does not fear women empowerment. And we want equal rights for men, women, and everyone. It does not mean, a feminist does not mean to only talk about women. It's about equal rights, about human rights. So basically, my father is actually an inspiration to the men of Pakistan. And he's a role model for the men of Pakistan. And many men have actually, it has changed their mindset. Because the way he stood with me during that tough time, the men, they are now thinking, rethinking about their attitude, about their behavior. And I think such men are actually the biggest change, the real change in a society. And earlier, my sister, she was a tomboy, and she wanted to play squash, and she wanted to play athletics. So it was also a very odd thing to do in the Pakhtun areas, in the Pak-Afghan border areas, and in Pakistan in general. But it was my father who allowed her to do that, because if you're doing something positive, you must not be stopped. And this is my father's concept. So I would also give this message to the men that it's about the two wheels. You cannot run anything on one wheel. It has to be the two wheels. It has to be the women as well, the women population as well. And we have to give them respect. They are our mothers, their sisters, daughters, and they have a lot of potential, they have a lot of talent that needs to be used for fighting global warming, for fighting child labor, for fighting environmental pollution, for denuclearization, for putting an end to arms race. So we need the women to be with us in such things in the world.
In terms of role models, you were speaking about Benazir Bhutto, and I would like to know in which percentage you believe that Benazir Bhutto was responsible or had a role in your life?
Yes, thank you. She actually, I was 9 when she met me, and since I was having debate competitions in Pakistan, so she met me on that occasion, and she called me her daughter. So she was an inspiration to me because she was a woman. When I was a child, I would see her addressing huge crowds. So that inspired me, that a woman addressing a huge crowds in Pakistan. So when I told my father, I also want to talk about, and my father would actually read me a book about the UN, about the UN does this, the UN does that, peace, about environment, about education. My father, I told my father that I want to be, on one hand, I told my father that I want to be the Secretary General of the UNO. I would tell my father that if UN is doing such positive things, then there must be a Secretary General like me who would do that. But on the other hand, I told my father that I also want to address huge crowds like Benazir Bhutto. And my father did not stop me from doing that. And my father would take me instead to her political gatherings. And there I would address the gathering along with her. So she was a great inspiration to me. In fact, I must say that I actually got that idea and got that inspiration from her. So you're right.
You mentioned that the West is way more accepting of religious minorities, and that we must fight to stop discrimination about religious minorities. What can we do to encourage interfaith dialogue in our communities, and what must be done so we stop this wave of discrimination against religious minorities coming to Europe, because we must face the fact that it is a reality and discrimination is increasing among even Western European countries.
Thank you very much. I think the discrimination is not as high in your countries as in ours. In our countries, their worship places are burned down, and they do not have the freedom to worship, and they are offered the least kind of jobs, like sanitary jobs, denied education rights in Pakistan. So that's why in our manifesto, in my political party's manifesto, we have suggested that there must be increased, enhanced representation for them in the legislatures from the top to bottom in Pakistan, because they are equal citizens of Pakistan, and there must be absolutely no discrimination, no persecution. And they must have their rights in jobs, in employment, in quality education, affordable education, healthcare. As far as religious minorities discrimination in your countries is concerned, I think like the caricatures by some man in Denmark, such things actually ignite differences between different religions, but these are not actually the common people of the West. Some people, some elements, some bad apples everywhere in our countries, in your countries. So we all have to fight such kind of extremist mindsets, hatred, and we need to, because we are one humans, we need to work for the common causes, like terrorism is our common threat to all. Extremist mindset is a common threat to all. So we have to fight these threats together. And discrimination is not the way, and we all have to play our role. You all present here, you can spread the message to your governments and to such elements who are who tend to do such things. But I'm thankful, I'm grateful once again that you are accommodating and you're hosting so many people. At the same time, we Muslims need to give a lot of awareness to our people, not to be extremist, not to have that hatred in their minds, in their hearts against those people who are hosting you. And you must be, instead you must be thankful to them, and you must be very positive and constructive citizens of their areas. And not all Muslims, some bad apples, you know.
Hello. First of all, thank you for being here, and thank you for the astonishing work you've done in Pakistan. My question would be, how would you combat the extremist conservative voices that end up influencing policies?
The extremist mindset is, I think, it's the biggest threat, real biggest threat. It is extremist mindset for religions. It is extremist mindsets for denying rights, equal rights to the weak communities. It is extremist mindset. I think it's the biggest threat, and we need to fight that. And if we guarantee, first, as I have told you, that we need to spread the awareness, we need to give courage to people, we need to show the path, and that itself would fight that extremist mindset. If a politician, if a leader, if the powerful people, if they have that extremist mindset, because in Pakistan, there are some people who themselves have Taliban mentality or terrorist extremist mentalities who are leaders. So it's the people, it's the masses who would reject them, but for that, you need to give them the courage, and you need to show them the light. And especially women involvement, girls' involvement is very much important. Extremism, terrorism, they actually take birth from actually depriving people of their rights. So we also have to understand this thing. In our region, the issue of Afghanistan is there. I think Pakistan and Afghanistan need to they need to engage in constructive, in meaningful, in result oriented, in fruitful dialogue process so that it comes to some end, this war. This war is taking lives every day in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, and the extremist mindset, it is being fanned by the political leaders or religious leaders. And similarly, there are some issues in the region. For instance, the issue of Kashmir, which is actually triggering an arms race between Pakistan and India. I salute the role of the UN because it had recently a very comprehensive report on the gross human rights violations in Kashmir. We need to, the UN was very much appreciated by the people of the South Asia. The issues of Kashmir, the issue of Afghanistan, the issue of Palestine, Israel, all these issues need to be solved for a better world, for a more harmony in the world, for more solidarity in the world. And the masses, it's the masses who actually can push for doing away with that extremist mindset. And you need to tell your leaders that this extremist mindset will not work, and it does not work with us. So this is what we are doing, because I held rallies on truck in Pakistan. There were women, all women on the trucks with me, and we spread this message. Because the denying of rights to the religious minorities, to the trans community, to the disabled persons, or to the weak communities like women, children, it's basically because of the extremist mindset which some people have. With the help of the masses, we all have to fight this.
So, I would like to ask you a lot of questions, but I'll just ask two. One is more general, so how does Pakistan Party works, how it, what are their programs, how they finance, how they communicate towards their audiences? And the second is more personal. Aren't you concerned about your personal safety? And I have Malala's case in mind, because you're not just spreading ideas there, you are fighting, and that's different. That's the main difference I see between what is happening there and here in Romania. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Basically, our political party is being funded by the people of Pakistan. It's a community-driven political party. Initially, the people were very much, they tried to brainwash the people against me. But the people realized that this is the real issue in Pakistan, and it needs to be solved once and for all for their generations, and basically for equal rights. And there were a lot of messages which I worked for. The people of Pakistan liked my vision, my political party's roadmap for the country, and it's basically them who are funding this political party of their own. And it basically represents the poor and middle class of the party. Right now we have, either we have leaders above 70 years, so they do not represent the 70% of the youth population in Pakistan, or either we have some people who represent dynastic politics, who are continuing the dynasties of their parents after their demise. So they are emerging on Pakistan's political spectrum. But the people are, thanks to social media, people are very much now aware, and they reject dynastic politics. And it's basically about the poor and middle class of the Pakistan that we represent. But at the same time, I would also like to request different international donor agencies as well, because we are working for uplifting the weak communities in Pakistan. And if they can help our political party, it would be a welcome gesture, because we are working for the betterment of humans and for the uplifting of humans. So thanks for this question. I was actually trying to, I was also thinking about this point, But I would send out a message to the donor agencies as well if they want to help this political party, which is itself a change in Pakistani politics, which has shaken stereotypes in Pakistan for its better future. So they can help us with that. As far as my safety is concerned, I'm a born fighter, and I'm only afraid of God and not of humans. So they know in Pakistan, everyone knows that. And I'm in my country. I will not flee my country. I'm in Pakistan, and I have formed my own political party. And I think the people of Pakistan are actually with me. So that's my safety. The people of Pakistan are with me, and they're supporting our party.
Ayesha, thank you very, very much. You are an inspiration.
Thank you.
Next year in the United Kingdom, we will be celebrating women getting the vote. The year after, in the USA, they'll be doing the same thing. It's a celebration because there wasn't a revolution. The women did not change the march of the patriarchy. And that was, you could see that expressed in the fact that the white female vote in America put Donald Trump in the White House. So my question is about collusion, about we women, instead of seeing our sisters, wherever we are in the world, wherever she might be, recognizing that we're on a continuum of oppression. We might, for instance, in the West, we might have a seat at the table, but we don't own the table, while there are women who are struggling to just get their daughters to go to school. How do we join up? How do we support each other rather than grab onto the little piece that we have?
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful question. I always used to tell a joke in Pakistan because it was first me who inaugurated actually the speak up about harassment and everything. Being a parliamentarian, I performed my duty. Later on, luckily enough, the Me Too and the Time's Up movements emerged in the world later on. But in the first days of my speaking up, a lot of women in Pakistan, they would side not with me, but against me. So I used to tell a joke that in the West, the women get together and they side with the victim. In Pakistan, the women side with the perpetrator and against the victim. So I was not the victim, in fact, but later on, the women, you're right, later on, it was basically because the women actually, it was to redefine honor. In our society, honor is to stay silent and to be respectable. If you want to stay respectable in your society, so stay silent and hide such things. So, similarly, there are a lot of customs in Pakistan, in Pakistani society, like, and around the world, many unethical customs, women are the victims. In our areas, women, if there is some animosity, if there is some murder, so a woman would be given to the victim family to settle the dispute. And the woman has to face a lot of persecution then in that home. So these are extremely immoral, unethical, and un-Islamic against the religion, customs that we have. Similarly, globally, I think we women, now I think with the courage the women are coming forward, I think I salute them. I salute those women who are confronting such people for their rights, be it the right to get education, be it to be in politics, be it to be on a decision-making role, be it to play some role for peace in their society. If they're confronting opposition, resistance, I salute those women. But I would also give this message to the other women that please be courageous, be brave, because this is how you can secure your future generations. It's for your own survival. It's for your own respect and dignity. And it's for a better world, a balance of power. We need to have a balance of power in the world. Right now, there is no balance of power in the world. So women have a lot of issues. When there is war, the women have to face loss of their loved ones. When it's inflation or price hike, the women have to face that thing. So the women have a lot of issues, and the women of the world, transcending boundaries, transcending their linguistic differences, they have to come together, I think, and they have to fight for the common causes, for the common problems that they have and they face. And I think it's not unfinished. It's just the beginning in the world by the women that I am seeing and I'm witnessing.
Hello.
Hi.
Everything that you say sounds really good and it's really inspirational. But I think a general conception, or at least my conception, is that politics can be a shady business sometimes. And I'm just curious if, in your career as a politician, you have done or said things that you're not proud of. Did you ever, just you, not things that somebody else says about you, do you believe that sometimes you went astray from the right path?
I didn't get the last point, the question.
Do you think that you went astray from a right path? Did you do or said anything that you're not proud of, that you're ashamed, you think you have not dealt properly with a certain situation?
No, absolutely not, because I think God has his own ways of changing a society for the better. And it's the people, because you cannot have a political party without people's support. So it was earlier Benazir Bhutto who had to face a lot of resistance in Pakistan's male chauvinist society, patriarchal society. She had to face a lot of problems from the military establishment over there who did not, and by the mullahs, by the religious scholars over there. They thought that a woman cannot be a leader and a woman needs to stay at home and raise children. This is the defined role for a woman. But today, I think the West has come a long way, because some women in your societies, they stood up for struggle and they were courageous enough. But the conventional path is always not the right, I think. And you have to always take some courageous step to bring back that astray society to the right path. So this is what I did, and this is what the people of Pakistan actually, and in the region as well, they actually support us for. And we have a comprehensive strategy for Pakistan, for the poor and for the middle class, for the religious minorities, for the disabled persons, for women empowerment, to do away with their underrepresentation, to give representation to the disabled persons and to the trans community in the Parliament of Pakistan. So we have quite a comprehensive agenda for Pakistan, and I don't think that we have gone astray from the right path. I think we are going to bring back the society onto the right path, because there are many customs which are anti-women customs, anti-human rights customs, persecutions of the weaker communities. So I believe we are on the right path and we are going to bring that change in our society, inshallah.
Hello, good evening. My
Hi.
name is Alexandru. I'd like to congratulate you for the forward thinking that you're doing in
Thank you.
Pakistan, and I think it's extraordinary